Hello everyone, welcome to Real Edutainment, where learning becomes simpler and practical. So today we are going to be talking about how to make grade 9 geography paper easier for the students. Now basically I know that your 80 marks exam is coming in the school and your stress level might be at the peak. So this video is for that thing only, so watch till the end. So how we are supposed to write the paper, what things we are supposed to learn from each and every chapter, all these things we are going to learn today. So the chapters which or the things which we are going to cover today is chapter wise revision, most expected questions which can be asked. Then the thing is smart memorization techniques. Then ICSE answer writing tips, paper solving strategy, how to write paper, how to manage the time while writing the paper. All these things which we are going to discuss today. Then last minute revision plan. So first of all, geography is not a subject which we need to do rectification. Geography is a subject which we need to understand practically. You can see many YouTube videos regarding the geographical regions where you can see about North Pole, South Pole, about our own country India, about the neighboring countries, how everything works around the world. Like the seasons change, the time changes, all these things are studied under the subject of geography. So whenever we talk about this topic geography, remember it's not a hard subject, but it's a practical subject. It's one of the scoring subject in your school and in your board's examination. And geography tells us about how people live, how people dress based on the climate conditions, the kind of food people eat, the kind of food people grow in their area. So all these things are studied under geography. So all these things which is displayed here, we will be talking about in the next 30 minutes. So the main thing is about scoring 90 plus in the geography paper. So first we need to understand the concept. Whenever you go for the examination, remember you are supposed to understand the concept and not do rote learning. So understanding each and every concept is necessary. Make a separate notebook for geography, write definitions in it. Then only you will be able to memorize all these things. So understand the concept first. Second, convert it into keywords. Now when we write the paper, the most important thing is the keywords. Without keywords, you are not going to form the answer. So the next thing which you are supposed to memorize is the keywords. And whenever you write the keywords in your examination, make sure you underline those keywords. Then it will make a proper answer. And the third thing, revise repeatedly. Whatever you are learning, keep revising it, because sometimes it may happen that you might remember and it might be a short span period, and when you appear for the exam you won't be able to write it. So keep on revising all the topics which you have studied, which you have understood, then only appear for the examinations. Then practice previous year questions, or you can also do one thing, that whenever there was a unit test in your school, use those papers to revise. Whenever there was a class test in your classes, use those papers to solve it, and then only you are going to make yourself sure that you have revised properly. And the next thing is write answers point wise. Do not make the mistake of writing your answers in a long paragraph. Your answer should be always written in point wise format. So the next thing is smart memory techniques. Read once, close the book, recall the keywords. So once you open your book, read the entire chapter once, try to recall all the things you have learned, try to remember the keywords, or while you are reading, whenever you find a keyword, underline it, note it in your notebook, then move ahead and teach it to someone. Like, we know that whenever we are next to our friend, we keep on discussing about various things which are going on in our life. So this thing should also be added in it, that whenever you have learned something, try to have a conversation with your friends, try to recall all the things which you have studied in your geography textbook. So what will happen, that the person who is hearing you, he will also be having an advantage, and you yourself will also be having the advantage of teaching someone. And whenever you teach someone, you remember that topic more better, instead of the person who is learning it. So revise after 1 hour, 24 hours, 3 days, 1 week. This should be your formula, that 1 hour, then 24 hours, 3 days and 1 week. So this is how your able to memorize all the concepts which are given in your textbook, all the keywords which you have noted it down in your notebook. So geography memory formula, how you remember anything. First thing is that you need to remember the definition, like definition of a mountain, definition of a plateau, definition of a volcano, definition of sedimentary rock, definition of igneous rock. All these definitions you need to buy at it. Once you buy at it, you will never forget it. Like whenever you buy the definition, understand that why this definition is in that way. Then only you are going to memorize it. Then causes, effects, examples, diagram. Diagram are one of the most important thing in any geography paper, because geography is the physical science of the world in which we live in it. So wherever you are supposed to remember the diagram, practice it neatly with the help of a pencil and not a pen. So this should be your strategy. Whenever you are trying to memorize anything, you should go with definition, then the causes, then its effects, examples, diagrams. Right now, when I was checking your papers, I saw many students writing in paragraph format, which you need to totally avoid it. Whenever you write in point wise, the person who is checking your paper, whether it can be your teacher or the paper checker, the person will find it so, so amazing that he will also find it easy to check your paper. And from that point of view, always try to write your answer in points. Then the next thing, so now we are going to discuss about all the important topics which are in your chapters. It's going to be about Earth as a planet, rocks, then all the chapters you have. So first we will go with this first chapter, which is one of the easiest chapter in your textbook, and the name is Earth as a planet. So in this chapter, I remember that many a times we see many proofs are been asked that prove that the earth is spherical or oval in shape. So first, which things you are supposed to revise in this chapter? Shape of the earth, size of the earth. It means what is the size at the equator, what is the size at the pole. Then movements of the earth. There are two movements. I know that you remember it. The two movements are rotation and revolution. You need to make sure that you know the difference between these two movements, because sometimes it may happen that you know the definition but you don't know for what thing you are using it for. So solar system, then unique features, then evidence proving the earth's shape. Now there are many evidence like the degree of north pole and the star which is visible from there, north star, then Bedford level experiment, then the day and night effect. So many evidences are there, like three poles were there. Then we also see the person who traveled the entire world using a ship. So all these things you need to remember very nicely, easily. Do your reading very lightly and practically. Do not put stress on yourself. Take this subject in a very enjoyable way. Do not stress yourself. Then quick facts, like third planet from the sun, only planet known to support life. There is one more important question from this chapter, and that is that carbon dioxide one. Like we know this thing about Venus. Then we also know about so many planets. Like some planets are far from the sun, still they are hotter than the planet which is near to it. So you need to memorize all these things, the logic behind it. So for that example, remember that the amount of carbon dioxide is more, and because of that carbon dioxide, the heat is getting trapped over there. So you need to remember that point. Be logical. Then from this chapter, also try to remember about carbon cycle, nitrogen cycle, oxygen cycle, all these things. Then the most frequent expected questions which can be asked: why is Earth called a unique planet? Second, evidence that Earth is spherical. There are 9 evidences given in your textbook. You just need to memorize at least 5. Then comes difference between stars and planets. Then why is the life possible on only on Earth? This kind of questions are frequently asked in any ICSE school. So you need to memorize all these things. And remember how you are supposed to write the answers. Your answer should always be written in points. Then be practical. Be practical with whatever answer you are trying to write. And as I told, do not do rectification. Write the answers in your own word, but make sure you are having the right keyword whenever you are writing your answer. Then the next thing is geographical grid. latitude and longitude. Now this entire chapter revolves around the importance of latitude, longitude, what's the difference between latitude and longitude. As we know, latitude is a horizontal line and longitude is a vertical line. So those kind of difference you need to remember. On the screen, we can see what things you are supposed to revise. So first is latitude. These are the lines which are running from east to west. Then comes longitude, which are the lines that are running from north to south. Then equator, which is an imaginary line and that divides our planet into two equal spheres, northern sphere and southern hemisphere. Then prime meridian, this is used to calculate the world time for each and every country. We know the logic. If we go in the west side, the time is going to be behind, and if we are on the east side, the time is going to be ahead, because we know that the sun is rising in the east. So when it's rising in the east, that's the basic thing, that why eastern countries experience sunrise before the western countries. That kind of questions can be asked. And then comes the time calculation sums. In those time calculation sums, you may get panic, but remember the basic logic, that one longitude difference is equal to 4 minutes. So two longitude will equal to 8 minutes. Then if both the equations or the timing are of the same hemisphere, like eastern hemisphere, and on the other side is it's also eastern hemisphere, at that time you will be doing a minus. And if one side is on the eastern hemisphere and if the other side is on the western hemisphere, at that time you will be doing addition. So remember both these things. It's a basic thing, and it may happen that your calculation might be correct, but you might be missing this basic funda of how to solve this calculation, then you may lose a mark. So remember the basic things. If you move eastward, if you want to find the eastward, the time is going to be ahead, and if you are moving towards the west side, the time is going to be behind. Remember all these things. Then the next thing is heat zones. We know that the latitudes are very helpful to find the climatic zone of the earth. So for example, if we are at the equator, the amount of day and night will be equal, the temperature will also be equal. But if you go far from the equator, the temperature range will be extreme. It can be extreme cold or extreme hot. Then if we talk about the north pole and south pole, the temperature is extremely cold, because we know the sun rays reaching over there are slanting. That's the reason. Then we have three zones: torrid zone, temperate zone and frigid zone. Then standard time. We know what's the standard time, like a Greenwich meridian. That's the standard time of the entire world, which is passing nearby London. Then GMT and IST, you need to remember from where our Indian standard time is passing from. It's passing from Allahabad, that's in Uttar Pradesh, or you can also see Mirzapur. Then what's the Indian standard time? 5 hours 30 minutes ahead of GMT. Now why we are ahead of the GMT? The reason is that we are extremely east from the GMT. As I told, if you are in the eastern direction, the time will always be ahead of you. And if you are in the western hemisphere, the time will be behind from there. That's the basic thing which you need to remember while solving these sum calculations, where you are supposed to find the time difference or any longitude difference. So this is how our planet looks: North Pole, South Pole, Eastern Hemisphere, then Western Hemisphere. Then you also need to remember the tilt of our planet, that's 23.5 degree. That is also one of the important thing that you are supposed to memorize. Then important points: latitude lines are parallel to each other. They never meet each other, but they are always parallel. Second, longitude lines meet at the poles. These lines, you can see they are meeting at the North Pole and the South Pole. So all these longitudes are meeting at one point. So that's the reason we do not call them parallels. Then comes the next thing. Equator is the longest latitude. This is the equator, which is one of the longest latitude. But as you go towards the north side or the south side, the size of the latitude also decreases. Why? Because our planet is not a perfect spherical planet. Because at the poles, our planet is flattened, but at the equator, it's bulged. You need to remember or memorize these concepts. Then comes how many latitudes and how many longitudes are there. So we have 180 latitudes and 360 longitudes. Then comes expected questions. You need to give the difference between latitude and longitude. Importance of standard time to avoid the confusion. Also remember about the time zones, that a few countries have lots of time zones. and that's because the country is vast. So that was one of the reason. Then calculate the time difference. As I told you, the funda about 4 minutes. If you go in the east, the time is going to ahead. If you go in the west, the time is going to be behind. Then the great circle, that thing you are supposed to by heart. Great circle, it's a measurement taken from the equator. It saves fuel, it saves time, and it's one of the best way to reach any place. Remember, we have discussed this thing in many times in our lecture. So these are the main topics which you are supposed to cover from this chapter: geographical grid, latitude and longitude. Then the next chapter is rotation and revolution. So rotation, you need to remember the time which is required for the rotation and the time required for the revolution. What is meant by leap year? The concept of leap year that comes after every 4 years. Then the concept of season, because our earth is revolving, the season are changing from monsoon to winter and from winter to summer and from summer to monsoon. All these things you need to remember. As soon as the sun goes far from the tropic of Cancer, we know what happens, right? We know that winter comes because the earth is far from the tropic of Cancer. So whenever sun is far from any tropical line, that region is going to experience the season like winter, because till the sun is present there, the country is going to be experiencing hot climate, but as soon as it moves away, it experiences coldness. So remember all these things by using the basic logic. Then rotations effects, what are the effects of rotation? Like day and night changes, difference in time, apparent movement of sun, moon and stars. Then Coriolis effect, deflection of winds and ocean currents. We have seen many animated videos regarding Coriolis effect, how it works, like merry-go-round. We saw how a person is throwing the ball, but the ball is changing the direction in midair. So all these things you need to remember. Then comes the effects. Change of season, variation in length of day and night. Like when we are in the winter season, we see that the duration of day is less and the duration of night is more. And vice versa when we talk about the summer season, where the duration of day is more and duration of night is less. Then yearly change in sun's position. You also need to remember what's a summer solstice, what's winter solstice, autumn equinox, vernal equinox. All these things you need to remember. What happens on this equinox, which country is experiencing winter, which country is experiencing summer. Then you also need to remember the midnight sun phase, where sun is not setting for a vast amount of time, maybe for months. So which kind of questions can be asked? Expected questions, day and night. This is regarding effects of rotation, then effects of revolution. Why do season occur? Why is there a leap year? All these kind of questions can be asked in your examination, so be prepared for it. So the next one is earth structure. This is one of the shortest chapter in our syllabus. So when we talk about the earth surface, we need to remember crust, mantle and core. And remember, the more down we go, the temperature increases. So outermost thinner layer is known as crust, on which ocean and continental shelf exist. Then comes mantle, then comes core, then comes the lithosphere, and the discontinuity. Discontinuity is a border from where any new sphere is going to start from there. So you need to remember Gutenberg discontinuity, then Moho discontinuity. All this thing you need to remember. What is the difference between Moho discontinuity and what is the difference between Gutenberg discontinuity? You need to memorize this. Use the logic, make proper diagrams if the questions are asked, like to draw a diagram. Be prepared for it. Then which expected questions can be asked? Compare crust, mantle and core, and also prepare this diagram. With a pencil and a scale, prepare this diagram which is explaining the inner structure of our earth. Then comes Moho versus Gutenberg. Why is the mantle important? Because we know there is an asthenosphere on which our tectonic plates are floating. Also, you need to remember what is plate tectonics, how continental shelf works, what is difference between Sial and Sima. Then the position, thickness, state, temperature, composition between crust, mantle and core. Why is mantle important? Because main source of magma, responsible for movement of tectonic plates, transfers heat from core to the crust. All these things you need to memorize. Then only you are going to write a proper paper. So as I'm telling, use AI. Why I'm telling you to use AI? Because sometimes it may happen that when you are sitting for your reading time, at that time you may not get the textual points. But if you use AI, it can simplify those things and it can help you to memorize these things. Also, sometimes make shortcuts. What I mean by saying shortcut is that make some codes which you can remember for your faster learning and easier way. And the next chapter is landforms of the earth. Landform means anything which is made because of the movements happening inside and outside of the planet. So mountains which are very high and a steep elevated landform, then formed by internal forces. Then what is the difference between internal forces and external forces? What is meant by plateaus? What is difference between a mountain and plateau? What is difference between plateau and a plain? And what is difference between a plain and a valley? All these things you need to remember. And when we talk about the mountains, remember the kind of mountains: young fold mountain, then we have block mountains, how they are formed, whether the force used is compression, what is the role of tectonic movements. You also can give the example of how Himalayas were formed from the Tethys Sea. All these examples you can give. The expected questions which can be asked are forms of fold mountains, formation of fold mountains, I mean, importance of plateaus, like from the mineral perspective, then difference between plateau and plain, then importance of plains, like how they are useful for agricultural purpose and making construction work. So all these things you need to remember from this chapter, landforms of the earth. So also you need to remember what's the definition of landforms. Then what's the difference between internal forces and external forces? External forces are happening above the surface of the earth. Mostly they involve erosion, soil erosion, and internal forces are the forces which are happening because of the heat which is present inside the surface of the earth. Like the heat is coming from the core, then it gets transferred to the mantle, and then it gets exploded through a volcano. Remember all these things? And because of all these things, we can see these beautiful structures like mountains, plateaus, plains, and valleys. Then the rocks chapter. In this rock chapter, the most important thing is the rock cycle. How igneous rock changes into sedimentary, and how sedimentary rock changes into a metamorphic, and how metamorphic rock again becomes igneous rock. So you need to be prepared with this entire diagram. Use a good pencil, HB pencil, to form this diagram. Also remember the process. See, as you can see, they are using this kind of short words which we can say keywords. So use all these keywords. What is the difference between igneous rock, sedimentary rock? Like igneous rock are also known as primary rock because they were the first rock to be formed. Then when we talk about the sedimentary rock, what is sedimentary rock? They are made because of sediments and they are known as secondary rocks. Then the third one is known as metamorphic rock. When we talk about the metamorphic rock, the word metamorphic means anything which changes its original form will be known as metamorphic rock. Then you also need to remember the examples like igneous rock, granite, basalt, pumice, obsidian. And when we talk about the sedimentary rock, sandstone, limestone, shell, conglomerate. So sedimentary rocks are formed because when lots of particles come together and they form a rock. Then economic importance, like rocks where they are used to build temples, to build the infrastructure, to build roads, to build our homes. This all are the importance of the rocks. Then for agricultural purpose, they give us soil because of the soil erosion. Then you also need to remember what's weathering. Then what questions can be asked? For 4 marks, rock cycle question can be asked. Draw a diagram, explain very nicely in few points that how a rock cycle works. Then difference among 3 rocks: igneous, sedimentary, and metamorphic. Along with it, know its other names, then its characteristics or features, then formation of sedimentary rocks, how they are formed. Also be prepared with a diagram. Then importance of igneous rock, how they are useful, and what is the other name given to igneous rock. So this is for the rocks chapter. Then when we talk about the world map, in world map most of the students are getting confused because they don't know what to do and what not to do. So the first thing which you are supposed to do is not to use any pen while working on a world map. Always use a pencil. So you need to memorize that which river is in which country and in which continent. So you can do one thing is that first take your textbook, on the behind side There are many maps given. Try to memorize it. Have a blank map with you, and when you are done memorizing those, practice on the world map. You need to practice consistently on a world map without looking here and there. Just be focused on the world map, then only you are going to memorize it. So you need to remember the names of the rivers like Amazon, Nile, Yangtze, Gange, then Brahmaputra, Mississippi, Danube, Volga, Rhine. Then major seas: Mediterranean Sea, Black Sea, Arabian Sea, Bay of Bengal, South China Sea, Caspian Sea. So in this thing, you need a photogenetic memory and also a lot of practical work. Then comes lakes: Caspian Sea, Lake Victoria, Lake Baikal, etc. Then states of Gibraltar, Bering Strait, Strait of Malacca, Bosporus, Dover Strait, Palk Strait, all these states you need to remember. Then for mountain ranges: Himalayas, Andes, Rockies, Alps, Atlas, Ural, Appalachian. All these things you need to practice. And if your school has instructed to use colored pencil with a specific color code, then use it. And always make sure that the pencil are sharpened before you are using that map. So always give a proper title on the map, write names clearly and in a straight line. Don't overwrite. Do not scribble on the map. Use very light font and do not show any scribbling work. Revise map daily, because if you keep on revising, then only your map accuracy will increase. There are many websites where you can practice this map work, where you can just click and just type which location is there. Also, you can ask AI, you can put a prompt that I want to practice about the rivers of the world, the seas of the world. The AI is going to provide you. Then you can memorize it using it. Then paper solving strategy. So in this one, read the paper carefully before you start writing your answers. Read the question paper till 5 to 10 minutes. Then start with easy questions. Start with those sections in which you are very sure that you are going to write it very properly. Then the third thing is manage time wisely, because we all know you may know a lot, but the time is limited. Then comes underline the keywords like explain, importance, reasons, effects, this kind of keywords, and also along with it geographical keywords. Remember, most of the students are missing out underlining the keywords, which you are not supposed to do. So from next time, any paper, whether it's a unit test paper, final paper, midterm paper, always make sure you are underlining the keywords using a pencil. Don't go for highlights or highlighters. Then draw diagrams wherever possible. Diagrams are very must, because entire geography is based on diagrams. So make sure you are using diagrams to describe your answers. And keep last 10 minutes for revision. After your paper is done, from beginning to the ending point, you are supposed to open your pages and check each and every line which you have written. In this last 10 minutes, you can also underline the keywords. You can also find out anything you have missed. You can also check your spelling mistakes. Remember to be patient, to have lots of patience while doing this work. And things which you are supposed to avoid: long paragraphs. Do not go for long paragraphs. Always write the answers in pointers. Guesswork. Do not do it. No guesswork, no story writing. Then leaving questions. Do not leave the space. If you don't know the question, just keep it, but do not leave the space. So you need to have a good presentation, good content and time management. Then only you are going to score 90 plus. And use simple language. Do not go for a hard one. Do not get confused. Do not write stories. Write your answers in pointers. So that's how you are going to score good mark. So this should be, so for example, 7 days are left. This is how you are supposed to prepare any revision plan. On first day, you can do Earth as a planet. On the second day, the second chapter, latitude and longitude. Third day, rotation and revolution. Fourth day, Earth and its structure. Fifth, landforms of the Earth. Sixth, rocks. And on the seventh day, practice map work. So map work is a very scoring one. MCQ are also very scoring one. So do those things. And also memorize all these things which are the key subjects of your chapters. So common mistakes which you need to avoid: memorizing entire paragraph, avoid it. As I told you, we are not here for rectification. Ignoring diagrams, do not ignore the diagrams, make sure you are making the diagrams. Skipping map practice. Now most of the students, what they do, they skip the map practice and they think they will do it 30 minutes before the exam or 1 hour before the exam, but that's not how it works. What you need to do, practice map daily. Then not learning definitions. Definitions are must. For giving a proper body to your answer, prepare the definition. Your answer should start with a definition, then an introduction, then the main body, then a conclusion. That's how you write an answer. And when you are ending the answer, always make sure you are ending with a conclusion. Forgetting geographical terminology. Do not forget it. Geographical terminology are very important because it's a geography paper. Now what you are supposed to do? Learn the concept. Do not rectify anything. Do not do rote learning, but learn the concept. Practice maps daily basis. Then write point wise. Solve previous papers given by your schools, the classes. Then revise consistently. That's how you are going to score good marks in your paper. Then this is going to be the final motivation and some golden rules. Remember not to mug up, but remember the concepts. Revise using keywords. Make a small diary where you are putting these keywords. Open it whenever you are free. For example, when I'm talking about having a small diary, in that small diary, you need to remember the calculations, like 1 longitude is equal to 4 minutes. Solve previous year ICSE papers. Then in that small notebook, you can also mention the name of the river and in which country it's flowing through. Then write answers neatly and point wise. Stay calm and manage your time effectively. That's how you are going to score your marks above 90. Then final message is that you can read it yourself. And one more thing I want to add, that after you have seen this video, help your friends by sharing this video, by liking this video and commenting on this video. All the best for your exam. Thank you. Let's meet another time with another video.